Hey guys, what's going on? It's Chris here, and we're back with another Marvel Spider-Man video. I've been really looking into the game recently, and I've really been enjoying what I've been seeing, and it is a crying shame that I do not have a console that can play the game, but I really like all the suits, and I went on about how much I like the suits in my Spider-Man Advanced Suit video, so if you want to know more about that suit, or more about my opinions on the game, you can go ahead and check out that video. I'm sure it'll be in the end card, or it'll be somewhere on my channel for you guys to find. But enough of that, we're on a video about a Spider-Man tier list video. That's right, we are going to be ranking each of the Spider-Man suits in the different categories. So, a suit can end up in the Webhead category, Spidey category, Wall Crawler, Web Slinger, Fantastic Spider-Man, and The Amazing Spider-Man. I tried to find some monikers for him, some nicknames he's had over the past years of being a superhero that would kind of accurately indicate, the progression of the rankings. So I hope I did a good job on that. I immediately knew that The Amazing Spider-Man would have to be number one, but things like Webhead and Spidey were kind of hard to come across. The rest of them were more than easy in their own way. The Fantastic Spider-Man was a last-minute change because originally it was going to be Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, seeing as that's one of his most famous nicknames, but unfortunately it looked really stupid considering the spacing of the box. It was like Your Friendly Neighborhood, then D all by itself on the third row, and then Spider-Man. So it looked really goofy, so I just changed it to Fantastic Spider-Man, another thing he's gone by. But enough dilly-dallying, we'll just jump right into it. So basically the rules of this video are as follows. I'll be judging each suit on a scale of 1 to 5 for aesthetics, how I think they appeal to me as far as how they look, and practicality, whether or not they come with a suit power and how good that suit power is. These scores, from 1 to 5 in aesthetics and in practicality, will be placed together to make a score out of 10. That score will indicate where they end up. So here's how the ranking is going to go. I don't know if anybody's actually going to score a 0, but if they do, they'll be in Webhead tier. Anybody else, 1 and 2, that will be in Spidey tier. If a suit ranks below a 4, it'll be in Wall Crawler tier. If a suit ranks below a 6, it'll be a Web Slinger. Below an 8, and you've got Fantastic Spider-Man. And of course, finally, if you rank at 9 or 10, you will be considered an Amazing Spider-Man worthy suit. So with all the rules out of the way, we can get to the intro, and after that, we'll get into the actual video and start ranking suits. Let's cue the intro.
Why do I feel like I linger between the words to say the words to remember?
So to trim the fat, let's start with suits that do not come with special powers or special abilities. We'll rank them based off of their aesthetics, and unfortunately they will get a 0 in practicality, because in terms of practicality, well, they serve no special or specific use. So starting with the homemade suit, I'll be ranking the homemade suit at... I don't know, it's a pretty interesting looking suit. I do like the color scheme of it, but of course it's intentionally made to look not so great. I'm thinking Spidey tier. I do like the color scheme, but the color scheme is pretty average considering it's Spider-Man. It looks clean, but that's pretty much only because of the game's graphics and how good they are. So, because the suit is intentionally supposed to be homely, it's supposed to be, jury-rigged by Peter when he doesn't have a proper suit available, the homemade suit will be going in Spidey tier, which means it will be ranking at 2 points. Next up is the Esu Suit. I do think that the contrast between Spidey wearing his mask and then having his normal, college attire on, I do find that a bit comical, but in terms of how good the suits look in the game, it's definitely only getting 1 point. I was thinking about giving it a 0, but just that clash between the fact that he's wearing his mask and he's got his normal clothes on, I do find that a little bit funny, and of course the backstory for those of you that know why this suit is in the game, that's also kind of funny too. It's got a bit of a funny backstory to it, so I'm willing to let it slide and get 1 point. We'll try to keep Webhead as empty a tier as possible. Next up is the Dark Suit. Okay, this suit actually looks really cool. The black with the red design to it, like a kind of inversion of the fact that he has basically red as his primary color and then black as the webbing on his body. Now it's been flipped where the red is basically like the extra design. It's like the spider on his chest, and black has become the main form for the suit. It's almost reminiscent of the symbiote suit for me. I think it looks really clean. I think it looks super good, and I'm actually even a little upset that this doesn't have some kind of special ability, because I feel like that ability probably would have been fire. So for this one, I will be ranking it fantastic. I will be giving it 7 points. Actually, lads, I just realized I can't give it 7 points because it has nothing in the practicality set, so the max score it can get is a 5, so I'll be giving it Web Slinger. It'll be bumped down a tier, it sucks, but it is definitely one of the best suits that I could possibly pick out of this group that doesn't have a practical ability or use. The Resilient Suit. Okay, if the Dark Suit got a 6, this would probably get either a 6 or a 5, probably leaning 5, because it doesn't reinvent the suit or make it cooler or any, more amazing than any other suit. It's pretty basic and bare bones, but I do like the fact that, it has this kind of armor metallic look to it. I think that makes it pop, and I think that does set it apart from most Spider-Man suits in a way that would at least get it, in the 5-point area. Maybe I wouldn't give it 6 points, but maybe like 5 or 4, so like, Web Slinger bordering on like Wall Crawler. Now, of course, the list is subject to change, so he might get bumped down to Wall Crawler, but I can assure you, if this suit gets bumped down to Wall Crawler because of how cool and shiny and clean and metallic it looks, it'll probably be a top tier in Wall Crawler. Next up is Spider UK Suit. I do appreciate the UK flag on it. I think that's kind of cool, and while I'm not familiar with the story behind this suit, I'm assuming it's probably something interesting, like a British version of Spider-Man. Because I don't know a whole lot about the suit, and it, other than the UK influence of it, it doesn't look that different from any other Spider-Man suit, I'll be placing this one in Wall Crawler. It looks pretty cool, it's got something different about it, but it doesn't really pop. I'd probably give this 4 points. Next up, Scarlet Spider 2. This suit actually looks really cool. The fact that again, it's another example of the black and red primary and secondary colors being flipped, so I'd probably put this at 5 points as well. Also, I'm not sure, I feel like I said that one of these suits gets 6 points when, again, none of these suits can get higher than 5. Basically where I'm at right now is these 3 get 5 points, but this one is definitely my favorite out of all of them, the Dark Suit. Then we'll go Scarlet Spider the second, and then the Resilient Suit. I feel like the Resilient Suit is just barely above the UK Spider-Man suit. But yeah, I do think that the Scarlet Spider suit looks amazing, and that one's probably going to get pretty high, the original Scarlet Spider-Man suit, but this one is definitely a pretty good suit for what it is as well, and I do appreciate that the color scheme being swapped really gives it its own personality. Next up is the Spider Clan suit. I'm actually also going to give this one... yeah, I'm going to give it 5 points as well, and I'm going to stick it right there between the Dark Suit and Scarlet Spider 2. I think that the kind of anime-esque style to it is very cool. I'm glad that they added this suit in its nature. And I don't know, it just pops to me, it's these anime-style suits, they do like comic-style suits and anime-style suits, and they did something similar with the Into the Spider-Verse suit, but these suits that have like a completely different art style from everything else in the game, I think they are so cool. I don't know if because, at its core, if you take away like the special effect it has to it, the cel-shaded kind of look to it, it is just a normal Spider-Man suit without the sleeves. So I wouldn't put it above the Dark Suit. The Dark Suit looks so cool, but definitely because of the cel-shaded thing, if you take that into aspect, which you should, as it's part of the suit, this definitely gets a 5. You know, we're at like 5.9, 5.8, 5.7, and like 5.2 or 1 or something, you know, the Resilient suit. Next is the Eichman suit. This suit is actually pretty cool. It really is a shame that it did not get a special power or ability, but, you know, for what it is, for what we're seeing, just based off of the aesthetics, it's like a Spider-Man suit, but it's got something alien to it, something completely different. I'm really struggling. I know it's higher than the Resilient suit, but I'm really struggling to figure out where it fits between, you know, is it comparable to the Spider-Clan suit, or is it, you know, not quite at the level of Scarlet Spider 2? I'm not sure. I think for now, just because of how different it is and how cool looking it is, you know, it's not just a color swap like Scarlet Spider 2, but it just has so much personality to it. It's got like the edges and stuff. It looks very cool, and when I first saw this suit released for the DLC, I was sure they were going to give it a special power, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. But just off of aesthetics alone, it's definitely a higher end 5. And next up we have Cyborg Spider-Man. That is definitely ending up right here. It's a tough one between him and the Eichman suit, but oh my god, how cool it looks with like it's you know, I mean, it's very blunt, it's very honest, it's not really hiding anything. It is a Cyborg Spider-Man suit. It is super cool looking. Another one, it's a damn shame they didn't give a power to, but you know, for what it's worth, just looking at it, you know, flying through the city with your, you know, webs going from building to building with these amazing graphics, you know, just being able to see this cool looking suit, well, that's enough for me. I'd give it a high 5 as well. This is probably where I'd cut off high 5. I'd give Scarlet Spider 2 a mid 5, and this would be a low 5. But all these so far are 5s, make no mistake. Alright, we have the Into the Spider-Verse suit. The suit that was the crossover between Marvel's Spider-Man the game and the Into the Spider-Verse movie that came out. As you guys probably remember, if you have watched my Advanced Spider-Man suit video about Marvel's Spider-Man the game's suit, you know, the advanced suit, the primary suit for the game, if you've watched my overview for that suit, then you'll know that in the Into the Spider-Man movie, they actually had a special cameo for the advanced suit. Well, this was the other end of that deal. They now have the suit available to play in the game that I believe Peter Parker wears, possibly Peter B. Parker, I'm not sure. But it's a very cool looking suit, and despite the fact that I've been hovering over Wallcrawler, it definitely gets 5 points. I'm putting this one even higher than the Spider-Clan suit, only because that was such a good movie. The backstory, you know, we talked about how like backgrounds would affect this to some extent. The Into the Spider-Verse movie was so good. I liked just the fact that they took my favorite thing about Spider-Man, which was just like all the different Spider-Men, and they made a movie about it. It was so good. It was funny. It was an interesting story. It had one of my favorite elements of Spider-Man incorporated into it, and this is probably one of the best looking cartoon suits they have in this game. So that is definitely a high-ranking 5. I wish for the Dark suit and for the Into the Spider-Verse suit, I could rank them higher, but I cannot. And for the last of the suits with 0 practicality, we'll be going over the Webbed suit. Now, I know that most people will say, oh, it's just a very plain Spider-Man suit. How high could it possibly rank? I mean, the max rank of it is 5, right? No, the web suit from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, it gets an 11, alright? It is the only suit in the entire list capable of getting 11, because if you try to tell this suit that it does not deserve anything above a 5, let alone an 11, Tobey Maguire will come to your house in his Spider-Man 3 Bully Maguire attire, and he will personally bully you until you change your mind and say that it deserves an 11. So I'd be careful, if I were you, what you guys say in the comment section down below, because Tobey Maguire, Bully Maguire, is always watching. So with that out of the way, we can start getting to suits that actually have abilities and powers, and we can start talking about where we would rank them from 1 to 5 in aesthetics, from 1 to 5 with practicality, and get them their 1 out of 10 score. So, starting with the Advanced Spider-Man suit, it is so clean. It is one of the best looking, like, exclusive game suits I have seen for Spider-Man in a really long time. It's got a very basic but practical ability, in that it has the suit ability Battle Focus, which allows you to very rapidly gain focus, which in turn allows you to use finishers, to use powerful moves on your enemies, or it gives you a constant healing regeneration effect. So, because it is super clean, it has a great ability. It's basic, it's not so powerful, but it's definitely by no means weak, especially when focus is one of the best things for Spider-Man to have in the game. I'm gonna rate it at Fantastic Spider-Man. I'm gonna give it a solid 7. I wouldn't exactly rank it to be this great, amazing, powerful suit. It's not one of the best looking suits in the game. It's not the best ability you can have, but it's a very solid suit. It looks clean. So clean. Man's got the drip all day. So I have to give him at least a 7. I was thinking maybe 8, but 7 should be enough. And again, of course, the list is subject to change. I might say that a suit has a score of one thing when I said it had a score of something else before. It doesn't matter. This list is just, basically almost feeling. The rank is just to add a little excitement to the video, and so that you guys can kind of try to rank them for yourselves as well. Next up is the classic suit. The aesthetic, I would probably rate it a 3. It's got some pretty good aesthetics, for sure. But, it's the classic suit. If I said it was the most amazing suit on the list, if I said it was the best looking suit in the entire world, it's just me being blinded by nostalgia. I'm looking at it through beer goggles. That wouldn't be genuine to say it's better than something like the Resilience suit or something like, God forbid, the Dark suit. But it does have an ability, so it probably won't end up in Wall Crawler. Its ability gives it 1 point. It's better than this one. It ends up in Wall Crawler. No, it actually has the ability, the suit power, Web Blossom, which can be extremely useful when you're in a crowd of people and you're being attacked, and you're being basically overwhelmed. It basically allows Spider-Man to launch spider webs all around him. And they will knock people away, they will pin things to walls, they will grab things. It's a really useful ability when you're being overrun, so because it's got a decent ability and it's got, a pretty middle-of-the-ground aesthetic score, I'd probably rank its ability probably around 3 as well, which would give our boy a rank of 6. I'd say the advanced suit probably has like a 4 in aesthetics and a 4 in ability. So he's on the higher end, whereas he's on the lower end. He's got a 3 and a 3, he's got a 4 and a 4. Next up is Spider-Man Noir. Now, I will warn you guys, this is total bias. I'm not even going to try to hide it or change anything about it or make you guys try to think otherwise. This is bias because Spider-Man Noir is one of my favorite Spider-Men out of all the Spider-Verse. So his aesthetic for me, on this list that I'm making that you are watching, his aesthetic will be a 5 out of 5. Cope. Now, as for his ability, the Sound of Silence, it's not really that great. I'd probably give it a 5, which puts him at a 7. You can go right there. So we got a 4 and a 4, a 5 and a 2. Sound of Silence gets a 2. I mean, it's not that bad. Enemies no longer call for backup when alerted, but it has no practical use in combat, and a lot of what Spider-Man does is spend time in combat. So while it's a great ability and it's totally on brand for the character, it's not that great of an ability in terms of overall gameplay. So while he ranked lower in aesthetics with only a 3, he got a 4 with his ability with a Web Blossom because it's more practical in combat. So they both ranked the same. They both got 7s, but he's definitely going above the classic suit. You can fight me. I will fight you in real life. Let's do it. Scarlet Spider. Based off of his design, I'd probably give him a 4 out of 5 in design. I think it looks really cool. It doesn't have the webbing, so it's just like clean red all the way across. He's got his blue sweatshirt, his like blue hoodie. It's got like the sleeves cut out. It just looks very cool to me. I don't know how to describe it so much, but it looks very pristine. It doesn't have the webbing in it, and it almost looks like dangerous. He's got like the hoodie on. Kind of reminds you almost like a thug, like he's gonna kick your ass. So I'd give him a 4 in aesthetics, so he's already at a 4, that's a pretty good start. But as for his ability, the holo decoys, which basically spawns a bunch of holograms of him that'll actually stun enemies that attack them and then disappear, I'd say that's a 4 as well, which puts him at an 8. And between the Advanced Suit and Scarlet Spider, I'd probably say the Advanced Suit looks better, but in terms of practicality, I'd say the holograms, the holo decoys, are much better than just gaining more focus. Now, that's just my personal take on it, but I hope you guys probably aren't that far away from my line of logic. Next up, Spider Armor Mark II suit and its ability, Bulletproof. This one is another one that gets a 5 out of 5 in aesthetic. Oh my god, it's so clean. He's got like the black shining armor with the gold decal. Oh my god, it's like if you turned a Spider-Man suit into a sports car. This thing easily gets a 5 out of 5. Now, in terms of where I'd rank it in practicality on a scale of 1 to 5, Bulletproof is, well, exactly what it says. It makes Spider-Man bulletproof. He's got a 5 in design. That's a really good ability. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first suit worthy of the Amazing Spider-Man. I'd say it's a 4 out of 5 or a straight up 5 out of 5. It basically makes you immune to the type of damage that most enemies in the game deal to you. You're bulletproof, it's only temporary, of course, but you're bulletproof. It looks super good. I cannot stress that enough. It looks amazing. So this is a really great suit. I really like it personally. So I would definitely rank it at least a 9, most likely a 10. Next is Secret Wars and its ability Armed Race. I'd say this is a 4 in aesthetic. It's another inversion. You know, he's got the red webbing on his body, he's got the black primary, and he's actually got the blue secondary as like a decal, so that's pretty cool. It's also got kind of like a massive spider on his back. You can see the legs on the front. That's pretty cool. So I'd rate the ability Arms Race. I'd probably rate it a 4 as well. It's a very useful ability considering how much technology and stuff are in the game, and the fact that it adds a stun. Basically what Arms Race does, for those of you that don't know, is it discharges an amplified EMP built to stun enemies and disable their weapons. So that's a pretty powerful ability. You can stun your enemies that, you know, wake up from being stunned, their weapons are disabled. It's a pretty powerful ability. The suit looks pretty good. It's a pretty middle of the road. I didn't want to say it was a 3. It's probably a 4 if I'm being entirely honest. So I'm probably going to rate it an 8. Negative Suit is another one that gets a 4. The design is just so cool. Like the inversion for the colors, like you got the black suit with the white decal. That is pretty cool. It almost reminds me of the Anti-Venom suit, for those of you that know who Anti-Venom is and the whole story behind him. So that's pretty cool, and it has to do with the main villain of the game, of course, Mr. Negative. So there is the kind of theme going on there. So I'd say the aesthetic is a 4 for me. But as far as the ability, Negative Shockwave, which synchronizes nanotech particles to unleash a devastating wave of negative energy, it's pretty practical, but it's also pretty bare bones as well. I'd probably rank it a 7. Actually, I just remembered that Arms Race is an 8 and Noir is a 7. Actually, I'll put him above Advanced Suit, just because ability is better. The aesthetic, again, is probably better here. But, yeah, I'd say that Negative ends up better than the classic, but not better than Noir. Next is the Electrically Insulated suit. I'm not particularly a fan of the design. I'd say it's a 3. A 3 out of 5. I'd say that it's not bad. I don't particularly hate it, but I don't particularly like it either. I think its main draw for me is the color scheme, the way that the eyes are glassy almost, the almost hockey mask looking helmet it has, and the insulation is a bit cool, but I think it's just a 3 for me, honestly. Now, as far as the ability, Electric Punch, which is basically if you punch somebody in the face with a defibrillator, it's pretty good, but it's another bare bones one. I think I'd rank it a 3 as well, giving our boy Electrically Insulated suit a 6 overall. probably, yeah, they're all 5s, so he would be our first 6. Now we have Spider-Punk and his ability Rock Out. So in terms of aesthetics, he's gonna get another 3. The suit is fairly normal to the normal suit, you know, all things considered. The scheme of it is a little swapped, like the area below his chest and his waist and everything has been changed to almost resemble like a, you know, like a denim jeans, and he's got his denim jacket on with all the buttons. He's, you know, a punk rocker, stereotypical punk rocker, but I gotta say, I think that the spike hawk he's rocking looks kind of stupid, and the jacket doesn't really do that much for me, so I'd say he's a solid 3. I don't think he looks bad. I just don't think he looks particularly standout enough for me to bump him up to 4. Now for his ability, Rock Out, it's a very simple yet effective move. I'm actually going to rank it a 4 and put him above the original classic Spider-Man suit. Basically all Rock Out does is blasts enemy with a wave of righteous sound. You know, it's very rocker theme. I like how it's on brand for the specific suit. And I find it to be pretty cool. It was probably one of the lesser suits out of the pre-orders, but I thought it was a cool suit. I'd definitely rank it at least a little bit above the classic. I'm not too much a fan of those horns at the top, the faux hawk he's got going on, but regardless, what puts him over the edge is his ability. Next we have the Wrestler suit, which, if I remember correctly, is an homage to the fact that in the original Marvel Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, he actually first tries to be a wrestler, and his outfit for wrestling is very reminiscent to the suit. I think it looks pretty good. It's pretty bare bones. It's kind of like the homemade suit, where it's not supposed to look particularly good or anything. I'd give its design a 2 or a 3, maybe average or below average. But that's kind of the intention there. But his ability, King of the Ring, of course, the Spider-Man King of the Ring, is a really good ability that I'd rank a 4. So I'd rank his aesthetics like a 3, and I'd rank the ability like a 4, or maybe like a 2 and a 4, which would give him here. I'd put him under Electrically Insulated Suit, because I don't think that the King of the Ring beats Defibrillator Punch to the face, but you know, King of the Ring basically makes it so that you can web throw enemies without having to web them up first. So it kind of, it actually kind of reminds me of, I can't remember the guy's name. Roast me in the comment section, it's fine. But the judoka that was just recently starting his fight in Kengan Omega against Meguro Masaki's clone/brother or whatever, the Gentle King from Purgatory, how he can kind of throw people without grabbing them first with his swing technique. That's basically what King of the Ring is, so it's a pretty powerful technique, but, you know, his aesthetics pretty much purposefully kind of bring him down on this scale. Next we have Fear Itself. The Fear Itself Spider-Man suit, with its ability Quad Damage, which basically allows you to deal 4 times the damage, if I understand correctly. Yeah, no, I'm just going to be outright blunt. The design is a 4, bordering on a 5. The ability Quad Damage is a 5. It is another amazing Spider-Man suit. There's really not a whole lot to be said beyond that. The blue glow of it, the kind of like neon flash to it, the way that the black is kind of like scaled, and those cool gauntlets he has, and the ability. It's just an amazing suit. I really do like the Fear Itself suit, and I think it deserves an Amazing Spider-Man tier. Next we have the Big Time suit, also known as the Stealth suit, and I gotta say, the design, it's another 4. It's one of my favorite design Spider-Man suits that I've ever seen. I wouldn't say it's like, oh, you know, Spider-Man Noir is still my favorite suit. Don't get me wrong, it's still my favorite, like, quote-unquote Spider-Man. But the Big Time suit is so cool looking. I really do like the design, how it's got like the neon green on black. I don't think that, you know, glow-in-the-dark green is very good for a suit to be stealthy, but it definitely does fit the name Big Time. Now as for the ability, Blur Projection basically makes it harder for you to be spotted. So it's a little better than Spider-Man Noir, where spotted enemies can't alert other enemies, but again, I wouldn't say it's very practical for combat, though it is a little bit better for preventing combat, whereas, like, you know, Spider-Man Noir, people can see him just fine, they just can't tell their friends that they've seen you. But with Projection, or Blur Projector, It basically makes it harder for enemies that have not spotted you to spot you. You're kind of distorted. It's almost like camo where it breaks up your image. So I'd rate the ability a 3, I'd rate the suit like a 4 in aesthetics, which would give us a 7. Yeah, I'd probably put it under Spider-Man Noir. If anything gets a 7, it's going under Spider-Man Noir, but Big Time is definitely a close contender. Next up, we have Spider Armor Mark III suit. I probably don't think it's as good looking as the Mark II suit. It doesn't have just that, what would the quality be called? It just doesn't have that drip. Unfortunately, I'd probably rate it like a 4 in its aesthetic, but it's not out of the race for the Amazing Spider-Man category yet. Even if it is, it's probably going to end up in high Fantastic Spider-Man tier. But its ability, Titanium Alloyed Plate, actually allows you to, instead of just being bulletproof, reflect bullets back at their shooters. Yeah, the ability, I would actually say, is better than the Mark II suit, but the Mark II suit just looks so much cleaner. The gap between that 4 and that 5 is just unimaginable to anyone. Like, just how much better I think it looks than most every suit in the game. It's just unreal. But as far as the ability goes, it's clear to see that being bulletproof does not stack up to somebody having the ability to reflect bullets. So for that reason and that reason alone, Mark III will end up in the Amazing Spider-Man tier. Spider-Man 2099 Black Suit. This one is definitely getting a 5 out of 5. He is another one of my favorite Spider-Men. I'd say I do enjoy him more than Big Time Spider-Man, but he's probably neck and neck with Spider-Man Noir, with Spider-Man Noir maybe edging out by a slight bit. But regardless, you know, this Spider-Man is one of my favorite Spider-Men. And I will say this, I'm kind of tilted by his ability, Low Gravity. The cool thing about this Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, is the fact that instead of getting bitten by a spider and having the ability to, shoot webs out of his hands or have super strength or whatever, he gains certain abilities of, like, spiders beyond just shooting webs. He gets, like, curled nails and stuff. He becomes kind of like a spider. And I think that's cool how it's almost like a metamorphosis for him instead of him just gaining a power. So the fact that his ability, Low Gravity, just decreases gravity while in air, I feel like that's super underwhelming for one of my favorite Spider-Men, and I'm giving that ability a 1. No cap. So when I said his ability or his aesthetics were a 5, you guys all thought he was probably going to end up in Fantastic Spider-Man tier, but no, he's just going to be the best of the web slingers. He's like a My Mask for the web slinger category. You can't get into the S tier categories, the Amazing Spider-Man and Fantastic Spider-Man, because he's here blocking you from getting into S tier and surpassing A tier. And next up, one of the coolest pre-order suits that was available, the Iron Spider suit, which is from, of course, the movie Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, this suit, I thought, looked really cool. It was probably one of the cooler suits, if not the coolest suit that they introduced in the MCU. I'm going to give it a 4 for its aesthetics. I thought it was definitely above average. I maybe wouldn't put it in the tier of some of the coolest suits that have been out there for originality or anything like that, but it was definitely a very cool looking suit, and I was happy to see it on the big screen in the Spider-Man movies. And another really cool thing about this suit is its ability, Iron Arms, where it basically becomes the Iron Spider from the comics, where it grows those arms out of its back and it's able to attack people with its 4 metal arms that grows out of its back. So I would say, in the theme of it having 4 arms, it gets 1 point for each arm, which would put it at an 8, a 4 in aesthetics and a 4 in design. Now as for where in 8, probably place it right here nice and snug. It's cooler than Secret Wars Spider-Man, but I'd still say that Scarlet Spider-Man is like one of the best suits in the Fantastic Spider-Man tier, and I don't see it being topped, but I could be surprised by my later choices. Okay, so I know what you guys are thinking. Velocity suit, huh? I can see that getting pretty high. I don't think you guys are going to understand just how high it is, because this was my favorite suit that they released for this game. This was my favorite, like, exclusive suit for this game only, and it was my favorite pre-order suit, so it definitely ranks in aesthetics higher than our Iron Spider-Man suit there. It is a 5 in aesthetic. But what about its ability Blitz? Well, the name does not lie to you. It does not intend to conceal what it does. Blitz just makes you go really fast. Blitz Suit go brr. In essence, it allows you to sprint faster, it gains momentum, and you're basically able to slam into people like you are the Juggernaut. So I'm granting this ability the righteous and beautiful score of a 4, which would place this at a 9, and I'm going to be placing it above Fear itself. Fear itself looks really cool, but again, the Velocity Suit was without a doubt the coolest thing I had ever seen for the Marvel Spider-Man game. When I found out, as a pre-order of course, when I found out that this suit was going to be one of the pre-order bonuses for the game, that's what got me into the game. That's what made me want to play this game, and that's what made me really depressed when I found out I couldn't play it, because I don't have a PlayStation. Sucks to suck, I know. And finally, for the Armored Spider-Man Suit series, we have Mark IV. Now, Mark IV, ironically enough, being as it's the farthest along in the series, gets the lowest aesthetic score of a 3. It's just shiny Spider-Man. So hopefully its ability is a little better than a 3 in aesthetics. And its ability? Defensive Shield? Gets a 5, so I'm going to be putting it at the bottom, the bare minimum of 8. Because, again, its aesthetics are piss poor. They're definitely worse than the Advanced Suit. They're probably worse than every other suit before it, but its ability is just so good. Defense Shield, which allows you to temporarily absorb all damage. It's just like, you can't hurt him. It's so good. It's such a good ability. It's definitely fair to say that this is an ability that the 4th version of the Armored Spider-Man Suit series deserves. Alright, next up we have Spirit Spider. Full disclosure, this is definitely a 5. The most unique outfit in the entire game, bar none. And not only is it super unique, but it actually looks really cool, and while I don't remember verbatim the story behind it, if I remember correctly, he basically becomes Spider-Man Ghost Rider, which Ghost Rider is another one of my favorites in the series as far as superheroes go, or I guess you could say anti-heroes, but let's hope his ability stacks up. So Spirit Fire basically does a similar thing to Rock Out, but it basically channels ethereal energy to damage your opponents from somewhere. This dude is basically hitting you with Hell's Mixtape. So that's a 4 and a 5, which makes him... I'm sorry, Velocity Suit looks so good. This one is definitely the most unique and one of the coolest in the game, for sure. And if you guys wanted to swap the Velocity Suit and Spirit Spider, that would not surprise me at all, and I'd even possibly agree with you. But for the terms of my video, I'm going to keep them as they are. And you know what? I may come to regret that, but don't worry, because Bully Maguire will always be there to make me feel bad about myself regardless. Next up is the White Suit for 2099 Spider-Man. Now, again, full disclosure here, I don't like how this outfit looks as much as I like the original, the Black Suit. So, in aesthetics, he's only getting a 4, but Concussive Strike, his ability, is actually pretty dang good. Basically, if you activate this, every time you hit somebody, you will launch them away. That is definitely a 4 class ability. So I'd say he's probably got a 4 and a 4. 4 for aesthetics and 4 for ability, which would plop him right plumply at 8. Now, as far as to where in 8, probably say here. I must admit that, again, the suit does look good. This one is a bit simplistic. It's really clean. Like unimaginable levels of drip. His drip level is over 9,000. But the suit does still look cool, and the ability is really good, so I'll put it there. Edging ever closer to the end of our list here today, we have the Vintage Comic Book Suit, which I will be placing at a 3 for its appearance, because it's pretty middle of the road for what you'd expect for Spider-Man, but it's got the cell shade to it. Again, I made a mention about this with Spider-Clan, how I do like these animated kind of comic book-esque appearances for the Spider-Man suits, so that definitely wins it some brownie points, but really not enough to get it to a 4. Now, as far as its ability, it's a 1. It's not really good. Quips just insults your enemy's pride. It makes them more likely to attack you, kind of like a taunt. I'm gonna say we have our second ever wall crawler, who has beaten out UK Spider-Man and is now the lead for the wall crawler tier. It sucks to see him placed so far down, but again, he doesn't really have anything that would place him higher. Now we have our Last Stand suit, which is another one where the outfit he's wearing and the mask he's wearing, of course, are clashing, but I think this actually looks really cool. It gives him a very cool, almost Red Hood look to it, where he's got like the Red Hood-esque mask on with the kind of like leather jacket, almost biker thug kind of look to him. He looks like he will kill you in a back alley, so that's definitely an intimidation tactic there, and I think it gives him enough to get into the 4 for aesthetics. But his ability, Unrelenting Fury, is so super useful. It basically takes away the enemy's ability to block attacks. So shields, not a problem. Enemies blocking, not a problem. That is definitely, in terms of practicality, that's a 5. So I'm gonna put him here. 4 and 5 makes 9. Undies. I want to be funny and put him in Bully Maguire tier. But I know where he needs to actually go. This is basically just torture. His ability Equalizer, I mean, off the fact that, you know, his ability is what it is, his aesthetics don't look good either. I don't want to play the game walking around as Spider-Man in his underwear. It's funny, but the novelty of it runs thin very quickly. And the fact that Equalizer basically makes it so that all enemies die in one hit, but you do too, you're basically playing this suit is so that you can do a no damage run of Marvel's Spider-Man. I do not play that game. And that's it, I don't play it because I don't have a PS4. But if I did have the game, I sure as hell wouldn't play it for the difficulty of it. I'd play it for the story, for the aesthetics, and for the Spider-Man suits. I would never wear the suit and use its ability, so I'm going to put it in Webhead. I should have known the entire time that this was going to end up there. But that is my decision. Thus I have decreed cope. And getting even closer to the end here, we have one of the most story-important suits in the game, the Anti-Ock suit. When you're fighting Doc Ock, you use this suit to basically defeat him. And as far as its appearance, I'd give it a 4. It's like a watered-down version of the Mark II. It's got drip, it's got the black shine, and the yellow glow-in-the-dark decal, but it just isn't as clean. You know, it doesn't, it's got the webbing in it, it's got a couple lines in it. It's cool, but maybe not as cool, so I'd give it like a high 4. But its ability, Resupply, basically allows you an infinite supply of refills for your gadgets. That is practically really good. So, I'll probably put this as a 9 between Last Stand and Fear itself. And our penultimate and ultimate suit, the last 2 suits we have here, are suits without abilities that I missed before. My apologies, 1,000 pardons. So, these will be 1 to 5, ranking no higher than Web Slinger. So, in a similar fashion as to how Iron Man had his Mark I armor suit, and it looked kind of clunky and robust, but still it gave off and exuded an aura of power, we have the Iron Armor Mark I suit, which is basically just black, colorless, no decal, no special colors to it. It's just Spider-Man armor, very basic and to the point, and I think that is a solid 4. It looks pretty cool in terms of aesthetics. I'd probably... I don't remember what I ranked these because that was oh so long ago, but what I feel in my heart of hearts, I'm going to rank it higher than... actually, no. Oh no, he got thrown all the way down the list. It's a very basic one. It's a little bit cooler than Resilience suit. It's basically just shiny Spider-Man. But this kind of Mark 1 Iron Man-esque suit. You know, I think it has its appeal. It's pretty cool, and you know, I wish it had some version of like a, you know, how the Iron Spider Mark 2 suit has bulletproof. I wish it had like a, you know, an ability itself, or it was like a watered down version of that. Like you take half damage from bullets, because it's like you take half damage from bullets from Mark 1. You are bulletproof in Mark 2. In Mark 3, you can reflect bullets, and then in Mark 4, I can't remember where I put that. There it is, Mark 4. Or actually, no, I think that's Iron Spider. Whatever. In Mark 4, it gives you the ability to absorb all damage. So you can kind of see the progression as it gets stronger and stronger. I wish they had done something like that for Mark 1, but regardless, I think the kind of clunky, powerful look to it definitely reserves its spot for Web Slinger. And finally, we have a new reigning champion, the last suit, and it actually does rank above Dark Suit, and that is the Iron Spider suit. It's the actual real Iron Spider from the comics, and he was definitely one of my favorite suits in the comic books that I was actually keeping up with, and I think that in terms of a suit that does not have an ability, he definitely deserves a 5. And he probably ranks above all of these. I don't know, if I did the list again, I'd probably go back and change a few of them, but as it stands right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the list of all the suits in the Marvel's Spider-Man game. So, if you guys agree with me, put it in the comment section down below. I got every single one of these right. And if you don't agree with me, I don't care. Shut your face. I'm always right. I'm objectively right. My opinion is the only one that matters. And this is what I decree. Yeah, so anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like on the video, leave a comment in the comment section down below saying that you liked the video, or give us a story about Spider-Man and what you like about the character, which suits you like the most, why you like the suits. I'm very interested to know what you guys think about all of this. Yeah, of course, subscribe if you guys want more content like this, you know, Marvel Spider-Man suits and stuff like that, or just Spider-Man and Marvel content in general. Hit the notification bell if you want to be updated of videos as they come out and as they are released. And yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope everything was to your liking. Be careful of Bully Maguire. He'll be watching you for the rest of your life now that you've watched this video. I'm sorry for cursing you like this, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Up back to your house.